So I would have preferred to have made a video on Bledsoe to the Bucks with more detail in terms of using 2K footage or using NBA footage, but I am currently in the process of moving and I simply don't have time to put a video like that together. Little preview of what's to come in the future, live streams as well as a podcast, because I have all the time in the world now and I don't have to worry about being loud for other people. But that's beside the fact. We'll go more into detail about that in the future. We're talking about Eric Bledsoe on the Milwaukee Bucks just for today. So, when I initially made my video talking about who should trade for Eric Bledsoe, you may remember that I was kind of hesitant on Milwaukee trading for him, but that was under the notion that they would have to move Malcolm Brogdon. All they had to move here was Greg Monroe and then a protected first-round pick that's probably going to convey in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And Greg Monroe, I mean, he's probably the best center on the roster for the Bucks. Sure, I like Thon Maker's potential more than Greg Monroe, but in terms of the right now, even if Monroe was not a perfect fit with them, because he's more of a post-up and inside scoring kind of guy who eats up space, he was still the best center they had. But I think we would all agree his future was not going to be in Milwaukee anyway, so to get rid of him and to get Eric Bledsoe, a creator and someone who can help out Giannis as well as lineups when Giannis is not in the game, I would say this is a positive move for Milwaukee overall. And I did mention it a second ago, him and Giannis. I think those are the two big things, is how is he going to play off of Giannis when they're together, and then what type of offense is he going to be able to provide the Milwaukee Bucks when Giannis is not in the game, assuming that Jason Kidd will play Eric Bledsoe at times when Giannis is not in there. So, how he'll play off of Giannis, I mean, Bledsoe's three-point shot has been up and down his whole career. He has not been able to have a full, healthy NBA season where he shot well from three. All of the years where he shot above league average, he only played like half the season. But I highly doubt he ever got wide open shots in Phoenix or on the Clippers the way that he's going to on this Milwaukee Bucks team because of the offense that Giannis is going to facilitate. Because when Giannis is attacking the basket, the opposing team is forced to provide help defense, because if they don't, it's almost a guaranteed 2 points or a foul because of how ridiculous the guy is with his spin move and his length and athleticism and craftiness combined with, well, I just said length. We might as well mention it again because it is that ridiculous with Giannis. I mean, if you're not providing help defense, then he's going to score. And I think the defense would probably pick Bledsoe as the guy to help off of. It'll depend on how Jason Kidd does with like positioning of the center, because that guy could help. But then, of course, if the center's near the basket, then Giannis, who's a quality passer, could get it to the big man on a dump-off pass or whatever. But in terms of perimeter players, they're probably going to pick Bledsoe, because I have to assume the starting lineup is going to be Bledsoe, Snell, Middleton, Giannis, and then either Thon Maker or John Henson. You're not going to leave Snell or Middleton open, so it's probably going to be Bledsoe. Hopefully he can just make league average on three-pointers. I think that's enough. But of course, he can attack closeouts pretty well. He's kind of a slippery player with the way he's able to get into the teeth of the defense. But Bledsoe can also just attack closeouts. I mean, if the defender is running towards him and Bledsoe has a head of steam going to the basket, I would think consistently he could get by that initial defender and then really profit off of the defense providing so much help when Giannis drives to the rim. And then from there, I mean, Bledsoe could finish, he could draw a foul himself, or he could kick out to someone else if the defense provides even more help, because, I mean, Bledsoe's a good point guard. He's not an elite point, but he's probably, like, right in the next tier, so I think he's among Goran Dragic and Drew Holiday. He might be a little better than both of those two. We haven't seen him on a really good team. We've always seen him on Phoenix, where he's gotten most of his minutes, and, you know, Phoenix hasn't really been that good. And the 1 year they were good, he was only playing half the season because of injury, so I think there's a chance we're going to see a better version of Eric Bledsoe. Now that's just how he'll play with Giannis. Also, the flip side, if Bledsoe beats his guy off the bounce, if they provide any help on Giannis, same thing, Giannis could attack closeouts and all that. But now we have to talk about when Bledsoe is in there without Giannis. Because again, I have to assume Jason Kidd would do that. I know I would do that. It'll be interesting to see who Bledsoe ends up playing with. I think it's a safe bet that he shares a lot of minutes with Mirza Teletovic. Because if you're going to have Bledsoe with the bench, which is again what I would do, then, Teletovic is on the bench. That makes some sense. I think the rotation I would roll with is, assuming no one's in foul trouble, you start the game with Bledsoe, Snell, Middleton, Giannis, I'll say Thonmaker. I think about 6 or 7 minutes into the game, I would take out Bledsoe, put in Malcolm Brogdon, because he plays off of Giannis well, because he's a good shooter, and then probably start of the second quarter, I would bring in Bledsoe, and then maybe you have Bledsoe and Brogdon play off of each other. That's an interesting combination. Brogdon's a good three-point shooter. Defensively, he can hold his own. He's also a pretty strong dude. And given that he's 6'5", I think Brogdon could play the two-guard position next to Bledsoe pretty well. And then that gives you a lot of versatility, because then you could go with Brogdon and Bledsoe. You could have Snell or Middleton. I assume you'd probably want one of Snell or Middleton at the game most of the time, just because it's nice to have that one wing player who can play defense and also stretch the floor. Some interesting lineups that they can go with. And I think the one lineup that crosses my mind really quickly, that probably won't actually happen, but I would love to see at some point, is Bledsoe, Brogdon, Snell, Middleton, and Giannis at center. Now, you're asking Giannis to do a bit on the boards, but he can probably do it. That would be a super switchy lineup where everyone's good defensively. I don't know if we're going to see that all the time, but still, there's a lot of potential here. And I think between Brogdon, Teletovic, Snell, Middleton, and then hopefully if someone like a Rashad Vaughn can come alive, or if DeAndre Liggins can come alive with his offense, then I think you have a lot of versatility here. And I did just touch on the defense a bit. Defensively, Bledsoe adds a pretty good dynamic to this team. His defense the past couple of seasons has dropped off a little bit, which is only natural given that his offensive responsibility came up, and the team around him just hasn't been that good. I would hope that on a good team that emphasizes defense, even if they haven't been as successful with it the past couple of seasons, because the NBA has figured out Jason Kidd's trapping pick-and-roll style. But still, there is the emphasis on defense, and I think Bledsoe could fit in well. A lot of good defensive players, and if Thonmaker can show some of the good signs that he showed last season defensively, where sometimes he was switching onto guys and doing well, and using his athleticism to provide some good help defense, and that could be something. He still has a way to go, though, Maker, because he's pretty thin. So there are times when he's just going to get bodied up by opposing centers. And plus, he's, in his second season? Very rarely are guys all the way there mentally on defense in their second season. John Henson's a little better, at least in terms of his shot blocking. Milwaukee's net rating with Henson is actually positive this season. It has been negative the past couple of seasons. I think some of that is he's not the best overall defender, and also offensively he's not really got much to him, but whatever. Their center position is still going to be the thing that potentially holds them back, but I think Bledsoe will help. I think he'll be good playing with Giannis, and I think he'll be able to lead some units without Giannis as well, and I also think the versatility of this Bucks team with guys like Brogdon, Snell, Middleton, Teletovic, if he's actually making his threes, because last year he didn't. I think it's a good move. I think it'll help Milwaukee. And the potential impact on defense is what really could do this, because they're 29th in the league in defense right now. So hopefully Bledsoe can make a difference there.